Hello everyone, welcome to No Meta here, where we like to focus on non-meta decks, and today we're going to make a non-meta deck profile of one of my favorite decks, one near and dear to my heart, Vampires. Alright, so let's get started here. Alright, so for the one-ofs, I'm going to be doing this with one hand on the camera and one hand on the deck pro, so this is going to be very shaky, but here we go, let's get started. Alright, for the one-ofs, I have one Plague Spreader Zombie. He's pretty much self-explanatory why he's here. He can bring himself out of the graveyard and can easily go into something like Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, which I can make very easily with him. So he's always good for that. And the must 3 Unizombie. Really helps speeds up the deck. Foolish Burial can send Mizuki to the graveyard, which will help extend your plays even further to bring out some really good boss monsters. So he's always good. And a little different from the actual games that I played with the zombies, but I like Solitaire. Solitaire is literally a lone fire blossom for zombies. He can bring up Unizombie a lot faster, which helps you get into those really good plays. He's a one card Omega, which is always good in zombies because you need to recycle your Mizukis back into the graveyard that way. All right. And of course, what every single zombie deck needs, 3 freaking Mizukis. He is what makes any zombie deck playable. He is the reason why zombies are always a good deck to play with. There's nothing that needs to be explained about Mizuki. He just brings out your zombies back from the graveyard. Just like that. No cost, no nothing. And since this is a vampire deck, 3 vampire sorcerers. He is your searcher. He is what helps you make a great vampire deck. If you're not using vampire sorcerer in a vampire deck, the heck is wrong with you. He helps out bring out vampire vamp, vampire duke. Obviously you're gonna either want to go for vampire vamp because she's the one that's gonna help you win most duels instantly. All right. And for the one of level 4s, 1 Zombie Master, because she can help you make a lot more faster plays. Being able to discard 1 zombie in order to bring one out from the graveyard is always good. It can help you go into faster synchros, like level 6 or maybe level 8. It's up to you. Alright, she's always good. 1 Goblin Zombie, because every time he goes to the graveyard, it's an instant search for a zombie, and that's always good. It helps you search for even most of your vampires, if not all, except for Vamp, if you think about it. So yeah, he's always good. And just because I cannot make a vampire deck without him, Vampire Lord, the OG, one of my favorite cards of all time. Just look at it, so sexy. Alright, enough of that. And 3 Vampire Dukes. Vampire Duke is incredibly useful in a vampire deck. Not only can he be an instant rank 5 if you have another level 5 vampire in your graveyard and you tribute summon him, but also, his effect of being able to dump 1 card from your opponent's graveyard of any card that you name is just really good, because it works so good with Vampire Kingdom, which will allow you to destroy 1 card on the field after this card resolves. So it's really good. I love it. I like to consider him one of the MVPs of the vampire deck. 1 Vampire Shadow, because you know what, his effect of being able to special summon a vampire from the deck after being tribute summoned is good and all, but the limitations of that monster being the only one able to attack, the cost is too great. So I feel like 1 is good enough for the vampires. And of course, the boss monster of all vampires, and I'm so glad that she is, because she is incredible. Literally, she's a Thousand Eyes Restrict, a Relinquish, for God's sake. She just sucks up a monster that's stronger than she is, and I mean she gains that attack. So say she sucks into Blue Eyes, that's 5k right there. And if you have Vampire Kingdom on the field, that's 55k if you're able to attack directly. It's incredible. She can, and many gains very fast. And I put this tech in here because, I mean, it's so easy to manipulate the graveyard, and you can easily get those 3 darks in your graveyard. So, I mean, he's live a lot of the time. You'd be surprised. He's really good in the deck. And for the spells, I played 3 Vampire Kingdom. Now, Vampire Kingdom is what the deck likes to revolve itself on. You really want this as fast as possible in your field because it enhances the vampire's effects. It allows the dumping effect to also be able to destroy one thing on the field through this effect. It's just incredible. It helps you in tight spots, in tight situations. And it can even help clear out the board in some situations so you can just attack directly. Alright. And 2 Twin Twisters, because it's Twin Twister. Enough said about that. In the zombie deck, you always want to discard anyways. 1 Book of Life, because Book of Life has always been good. It's not good in early matches. It's much better late in the match, because that way you can help push for endgames with this, you know. Alright. 1 Foolish Burial, so you can dump Mizuki much faster in the deck, in the game. 1 Instant Fusion, and I will explain what target this is for later on in the extra deck. 1 Dragon's Mirror, because there's 1 fusion in here that you just gotta use in any zombie deck if you have it, and I'll show you later on what that is. 1 Polymerization for the same reason as Dragon's Mirror. Now I use Mass Change too because I mean Dark Law is so good. It helps disrupt so many decks still to this day. It'll always be an OP card. And I just love using it against my opponents. Now, I know I said I use Omega, but you just sometimes have to have another way of bringing your Mizukis back into the graveyard. And hell, you can even use this to bring back Vampire Sorcerer because you can banish Vampire Sorcerer and summon a Vampire without tributing, which helps extend your plays. It's always good. It's always live. In a vampire deck. 1 Raigeki because it's freaking Raigeki. Enough is said of that. And for the traps, I use Swallow Slash because I have Solitaire on. I mean, being able to destroy 2 things on your opponent's side of the field is always good. And 2, Call the Haunteds. I mean, bringing back a zombie. There's enough said. Enough said. You can make great plays with this. Now, I prefer to use Vampire Takeover over something like Terraforming because not only does it allow you to automatically activate the Vampire Kingdom from your deck, but it can also bring back a vampire from your graveyard if you have it in your graveyard as well, which is great with Duke and great with stuff like Vampire Shadow. So yeah, I mean, better to utilize that. And 1 Solemn Warning. That's pretty much it for the main deck. And now for the extra deck, since I'm able to get it in my hand. The extra deck is interesting because I like to focus this deck more on vampires, so I had to sacrifice some better monsters per se so I can focus on vampires because I just love it so much. But I like to use 2 Vampire Brahms. I mean, he's a good rank 5. Works perfectly, obviously, with vampires as he's considered one of the boss monsters. Being able to special summon a monster from your opponent's side of the graveyard and is really good. I mean, I can think of endless possibilities of what I can bring out. It depends on what my opponent is using at the time. But I mean, being able to end the game with your opponent's monster is always a troll way of winning. I love it. One Andreas because he's dark, rank 5, and sometimes he's a better option than Braum. One Shark Fortress because being able to attack twice is always good. For the rank 4s, one Castell because Castell is always good, and able to spin back something to the deck is always a good option. One Shiranui Summer, I'm not even going to pronounce that, get fucked. But this is always a good card to bring out, and actually I like to use him more as a stepping stone to bring out Crystal Wing. With he's really good to bring out Crystal Wing this way. One Black Rose to get out of sticky situations, always good to destroy everything on the field. I mean, you're a zombie deck. Being able to bring out stuff back from the graveyard is really easy. One Clear Wind Synchro Dragon because I just love Clear Wind Synchro Dragon. Being able to negate a level 5 monster or an effect that targets a level 5 or higher monster is always a good thing. One Crystal Wing because it's Crystal Wing. Enough said about that. One Beals because you know what? Right now, he's really good right now in this format. Being able to not care about destruction right now is currently a really good thing. It's kind of an annoyance to get over. One Cypher Lord Omega because, Cypher Lord Omega recycles your Mizuki, recycles your Vamp, recycles anything that got banished. He's really good. Being able to disrupt your opponent's plays by banishing itself and one card on your opponent's hand is always good. It'll never stop being good. One Shogun Saga, so you can go for game if you want to go for game this way. Now here's what I use polymerization and Dragon's Mirror for. First off, being able to attack and make your opponent's monster's attack go to 0, and then stealing that attack of your opponent on a token that is just as strong is an incredibly powerful play. It can help you win games really fast. I love this card. My instant fusion target, being able to go into Braum this way is pretty fast. Hell, being able, using it as tribute fodder, that's all I use him for, but, he's really good. And of course, one Dark Claw, because Dark Claw likes to banish stuff. I do use a side deck when it comes to, at least my extra deck. There's 3 other cards I like to use, but I don't have one. And that first one is Abyss Dweller, because shutting down your opponent's graveyard is always a good thing. And, Gaia Thunder Charger. Being able to just, ranking up and overlaying on top of a used up Braum when you don't have any more materials, that's always good. So, yeah, I like using that as a side deck. And my third option, which I don't have, but she's not coming on her way, is Minerva. Minerva in a zombie deck is really, really good. It just turbos the deck much faster. Well, that is my Vampire deck. I love playing this deck. It holds up pretty well with many decks nowadays. And, it surprised you. But that's my Vampire deck. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.